Before I go to Jay, I want to play just a couple of clips for you to show you just how far we have come in terms of how we view this very salient issue. The first clip is a clip of President Barack Obama with Rick Warren in 2008, where he defines marriage as being between a man and a woman. Listen to this.
Define marriage.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. Now, for me as a Christian, it's also a sacred union. God's in the mix.
Okay, now that was 2008. Let's fast forward 4 years, 2012. Obama now says he's gone through an evolution and believes a man ought to be able to marry another man.
I've been going through an evolution on this issue. Over the course of several years, as I talk to friends and family and neighbors, when I think about members of my own staff who are in incredibly committed monogamous relationships, same-sex relationships, who are raising kids together. When I think about those soldiers or airmen or Marines or sailors who are out there fighting on my behalf and yet feel constrained, even now that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is gone, because they're not able to commit themselves in a marriage. At a certain point, I've just concluded that for me personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
And again, Dr. Jay Richards joins me on the broadcast now. He is Senior Fellow at the Discovery Institute, where he directs the Center on Wealth, Poverty, and Morality. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Hank. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you got it. I'm glad to have you on. I loved your article, and I want to start by asking you, did I just hear President Barack Obama redefine marriage?
Well, certainly he redefined it in terms of at least what he claims is his sort of personal view. I mean, anyone that was watching closely, President Obama, way back before 2008, had already spoken to gay and lesbian groups saying that he affirmed this idea of same-sex marriage, but you know, he can look at polls as well as anybody can, and he knew that's not a popular position with the public. And so in a national election, he realized that was a liability. So, I mean, you know, honestly, he was being quite cynical when he said what he did to Rick Warren a few years ago for people that were sort of looking at the details. And so, you know, what he ended up coming out with here in the last few months, saying he affirmed same-sex marriage, I think what happened is not that his view evolved, it's that he felt like for some reason he had to go ahead and say what his actual view was. My own opinion is that, in fact, he wasn't planning to come out with this until after the next election. I mean, I think he had a lot of gay donors and donors that believe in same-sex marriage pressuring him, but I think they recognized that this was still a bit of a political liability, and so he wanted to wait until he was elected the second time to come out with this. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, Vice President Biden came out defending same-sex marriage, and so that put the president in an awkward position. I mean, either he was going to basically have to disagree with and criticize his vice president, or go ahead and admit what he thought. And so I think that's what's happened. But I don't think this really represents an evolution of his actual view. I just think that he's now finally sort of freely speaking his view because he thinks the political consequences aren't as severe as they might have been a few years ago.